Hey friends, Jewel back again with another super cool astrology video. Moon in the 10th house today. So this is birth moon in the 10th house. So what goes on when we have this going on in the natal chart? So the 10th house is the house of achievement. It's what we really grow up from our 4th house into our 10th house to be. So it's, where our public recognition is. The reputation that precedes us describes a lot of about the career that we may go into. Is about, represents, the father figure, authority figures, bosses, work life, the public at large. And is originally, ruled by Saturn, so it has that very structured energy to it. So the moon is our habits, it's our emotional nature, it's our cravings, it's our daily emotional habits, describes the mind, the style of thinking, and is really the unconscious inner part of ourself, where the sun is our conscious, out there, ego part of ourself. The moon is the inside, hidden feminine nature that is the feelings. So the sun is the actions, the moon is the feelings. And so when we have the moon coming into the 10th house of recognition, public things, career, we see somebody that is very much about emotional self-mastery. Becoming one's own rock and steady foundation through steady self-control is really, really something that brings them emotional happiness. Self-discipline is a big part of how people with moon in the 10th house achieve a sense of emotional balance. So they can be very self-conscious when we have this placement here, because this is a house that everybody can see. So the emotional nature is very outward directed rather than inward. So they're very reflective of what's going on around them. They're very reflective of the public at large. So because their emotions are so other focused, they are not as understanding of their own emotional nature as other placements of the moon, because they don't spend a lot of time in emotional introspection. So, they can be very adept at helping and needing or knowing what other people's needs are, and not be so caring and emotionally there for themselves. So it's a very helpful placement. They tend to feel emotionally satisfied through being needed, through being beneficial. So this is not an easily vulnerable place for the moon. They tend to be emotionally closed off and careful, emotionally careful. They are very loyal, and there is not a great deal of messing around in the younger life, or any kind of promiscuous behavior. That can be seen as emotionally risky. So they are more, monogamy oriented. Now, you could have Uranus in aspect to the moon, and that would very much change this. You have to look at everything. But they are very much about emotional commitment with this placement. They tend to have matured early with this, and they can often be described as, that family member that was always responsible, or the one that was always reliable, when everybody else was, just being 13. So they tend to, had a more serious way about them. The maternal influence tends to have been serious as well. Whatever that was, if that was a mother, the grandmother, whatever that influence was, it tends to have been one where duties, goals, concrete things were very much imparted and enforced. And they were, seen as, desirable traits, that was imparted by the mother. I have a dog that is scratching at the door. 1 minute. There's always a dog that needs something. I have 3 little ones, and it's either like clicking nails, scratching to get in, then immediately scratching to get out, you name it. So the mother tends to have been, a more serious committed influence in the life. Changes in occupation and career goals are common when we have this placement. Now, typically that does not last a lifetime. These people do tend to hit on what they're good at. It tends to be later. And they, this is the house of ups and downs. Whatever house the moon is in becomes the house of ups and downs for any particular chart, because the moon goes through its different phases. It fills, it empties. It goes light, it goes dark. It waxes and it wanes, and that is very much represented by how the moon behaves. So whatever house it's in, that's the area of life where we see more changes. And changes that are more emotionally driven. So, they can do searching when it comes to their career, because they do want to emotionally show up in the world. They want to be seen. Now, this is interesting because they emotionally kind of hide, but they want to have that appreciation come from the world in an emotional manner. So they can go through different occupations, finding what it is that emotionally satisfies them. What work is it that brings them that inner satisfaction, and a sense of peace is what they're looking for through the career field. So that doesn't mean that everybody with 10th house moon is going to have a career. I see 10th house moon women who are stay-at-home mothers who approach their motherhood as a career. I mean, these women come down at 6 a.m. with the makeup on and the outfit, and they are ready to go. It is like they are coming to work. And they're very talented at what they do. So they approach, family life as a career. And we can often see where they need to find a balance between career and private life with the moon in this placement. They can be too focused on, the public life, the goals, the getting ahead, and we could see the family life or the domestic life suffer as a result of this. Now that doesn't mean that it's always going to be a career, because volunteering is a big one with people with the moon in this placement. They can get wrapped up in that. They can get wrapped up in helping in all manner of ways. So, but typically it is helping that is going to bring some kind of recognition. So they need appreciation with this placement. If you love somebody with a 10th house moon, you need to be aware that they need to hear words of affirmation. They need to hear words of appreciation. They need to hear it coming out of your mouth. They want that expression of they are important and what they have done is important to you, because they want their themselves to be seen as beneficial to the world, beneficial to you. So if you love somebody that has this placement, you need to make sure that you are telling them what they have done for you is important. You need to be specific, and you need to often give them pats on the back and recognize. That is the word, recognize. Recognition is important to them. You need to recognize what they're doing. You need to acknowledge to them that you see it, that you see how they're showing up. This can really go a long way towards making them feel loved, making them feel important, making them feel appreciated and like they have a place in the world. So,